Thank you very much for checking out today's video. The purpose is to try to answer a question I've been getting on the coffee truck, and it's difficult to do in a couple of seconds. It's how do you get coffee to taste so good? A lot of the customers typically have chain coffee like Dunkin' Donuts, which is okay, it's drinkable, but it's not just as great as going through the whole process of getting the beans that are, the best from around the world, roasting yourself, making sure you know how to store it afterwards, grinding it fresh to order. So in order to try to answer this question, today's video is going to profile a local roaster at Knoxville Coffee Company and kind of get into this question. So for me, I roast here on the Aleo Bullet, where I do about 5 pounds a week to serve a very small population. But Alex, he serves thousands of customers, and I kind of want to get into what it's like to scale up, to open up a commercial roastery, kind of figure out why he does it, how he does it, the kind of things that he's learned along the way. So that's what we're going to get into. And if you like this kind of content, please like and subscribe. So hopefully I'll be able to build the channel and do more videos like these in the future. Thank you very much. And now here's the Knoxville Coffee Company.
We started Knoxville Coffee Company about 4 years ago. I started roasting coffee a little bit in Chattanooga. Here's just for fun. I've roasted a light, medium, and dark roast coffee. Just so people can kind of see the variants of coffee roast profiles. Started in our garage and quickly filled in our shoes there. So we moved to this facility and upgraded our equipment, our roaster, and our weigh and fill machines, and been going ever since out of this location. So we have a growing list of single origin coffees that we roast. From those, we make our blends and our espresso blends. So our blends are called our Knox Heritage Series, and these are called our single origin. The roasting plays a huge role in coffee. Of course, there's 3 stages. There's the where the coffee comes from, the origin, and then there's the roasting, and then there's the brewing. But for me, I can speak to the roasting of the coffee, and we have selected 9 different single origins that offer unique characteristics from around the world, and I think that each coffee bean is all specialty grade coffee, and each coffee is specifically roasted. It has its own unique roast profile to bring out what that specific bean or seed can accomplish. We don't roast a lot of coffee, and we don't want it just sitting here not being roasted. So this looks low. This is our Columbia Supremo, but that is on purpose. We'll roast our coffees when we get a large order in. So if we have to fill 50 pounds of coffee, right now we'll roast for it, so it makes a big difference in terms of quality of the coffee. So we'll always have some for customer walk-ins, but we're not going to have it sit in bulk and sit there for days on end. So it's one of our biggest selling points. Quality control. Really, it's made a big difference that we try our best to be roast to order. We can grind it to any customer's preferred brewing method, anywhere from a Turkish ground, which is a finer grind than a espresso. Of course, we grind for espresso, and then all the way to a nice medium grind, and then all the way to a very coarse ground for French press. But more often than not, it's either a whole bean, which is our preferred way to get coffee out because it helps preserve the freshness, to an auto drip for regular drip coffee or to make. When somebody does eventually scale up from a little 1 to 2 kilogram roaster to a larger roaster, you want to make sure that you know how to roast, number 1, and then number 2, the quality of your roaster is very important. When it comes to scaling up, in a lot of cases, you can create consistency and a better roast because you're more stable. You'll get hot spots in your smaller roasters, your tabletop roasters, and the more variability you have in control of your roast, the more things can mess up. So I really just recommend starting out for every roast with any coffee, a very generalized roast profile, and from there tweak it. So you can improve that roast. You're going to start with a good roast for everything, and then slowly build towards each coffee bean being what it can. So you're not going to roast a Sumatran coffee the same way you're going to roast an Ethiopian coffee, and you're not going to roast that how you're going to roast a Colombian coffee. But you can create consistency by starting that way. Don't try 9 different single origin coffees and try to come up with that perfect roast for each one. I mean, there are some things you can do, but that helped me scale up. That helped me scale up in terms of the number of coffees, and in terms of the amount of coffee. You have to make sure you have a very high quality roaster. Again, I found that the stability in the larger roast has helped me tremendously, because the smaller your roaster, the more variability you have, the more the temperature around you affects the bean, the more you can over roast. So it's all about consistency, and a larger roaster, especially a Diedrich, which I'm a big fan of. It's a very stable workhorse of a machine with lots of. There's still variability. You can still. I think Diedrich is one of the best roaster manufacturers in the world. You will still have impurities in the green coffee. It's allowed. It's part of it. It's part of agricultural at large, anyways. If you're ordering a huge amount of food from somewhere, it's always going to have something. And so it's just a crop. So this box represents, since we've been open from my basement, everything that we've pulled out of green coffee. Yes, and this looks like a lot, but we've been in business for a long time, and we've roasted a lot of coffee. So we've got everything in here from popcorn kernels that have been popped during the roast, to rocks. What else do we have? There's a rubber foot. Coffee goes into a large silo at origin after it's processed. Anywhere along the way, and especially some coffees are brick dried, and stuff can get in there. But there's rocks, popcorn, rubber. Yeah, so we keep this just as a record. Here is a metal nail, right? So we thoroughly check everything from the very beginning. So myself and my employees know to look to every stage when we're looking at the coffee. We want to look for impurities, because it is scary if you get a rock and someone buys a $3,000 grinder at home. This goes in there and messes it up. We might be getting a phone call, you know. So my favorite part would be, I would say, meeting people, getting to know my customers, and building relationships with people, whether they're customers or family members coming in to help, and you know, and just meeting our regular customers has been one of my absolute favorite things. Secondly, I would say roasting coffee. It's a passion of mine. I've been doing it for about 15 years now, and it's one of my. There's always something to learn. You'll sit there and think you know something, and then something else will happen, and you got to change your roast profile, or you've got to do something. Coffee is a crop, and so it literally changes with the wind. You've heard of wine, you know, that's a big year for that vintage, you know. It's similar, if not the same, for coffee. It is a crop, and it changes with how much rainfall, how much sunlight, you know, and so So each year, if you're keeping your roast profiles the exact same, then you're not really doing that coffee justice. So roasting coffee, the actual roasting of coffee is my favorite thing. Thirdly, opening up this business with my dad has been awesome. It's been a good experience, and it has its pitfalls having a family business, but it also is rewarding, and I wouldn't do it any other way.